The other person who's in the news this week as an obvious contender for the nomination is Gavin Newsom, who went on Shawn Ryan's podcast and absolutely dissembled over the question of transition procedures and surgeries on minors as young as 8. Listen to this.
What about for your values? I mean, is 8 years old too young?
Yeah, I mean, look, I now that I have a 9-year-old, just became 9. Come on, man, I get it. So those are legit. You know, it's interesting. Just the issue of age. I haven't. It's interesting. As someone that's been so focused on equality broadly, LGBT rights, particularly gay marriage. The trans issue for me is also novel. It's over the last few years. I'm trying to understand as much as anyone else. Whole pronoun thing, trying to understand all of that. Well, you know, that was like the hell. I mean, all that stuff. I get it.
Oh my God. First of all, his hands are flailing. He gets so nervous and he can't stop moving his hands, right? It's to tell I'm uncomfortable and I'm probably lying too. Hands above the midline moving can be a sign of deception. He didn't, I mean, come on, man. I mean, I get it. Those are legit, period. The issue of age, and you know, as someone who's been so focused on LGBT and gay marriage, you know, the trans thing, I just like, I've been thinking about the pronouns. Yeah. That's how he answered that question, Rich. Are you okay with surgical procedures on an 8-year-old?
Yeah, it was a good answer in the sense that it kind of seemed as though he was acknowledging it was a problem with like the, come on, man, I get it. But it led nowhere and he didn't say it. And he was clearly afraid to say it. And this is a Democrat who showed a little more leg on this than other Democrats by at least saying in that famous podcast with Charlie Kirk that it's unfair for males to compete against females in sports. But he can't just come out and say, no, of course it's wrong for an 8-year-old. Of course it's wrong. And this is another huge problem with for the party, right? If there are two things I would advise them on, which would seem relatively easy. One, say Biden shouldn't have been running again and people should have blown the whistle on it much earlier. Bad on us. And we're not going to do surgeries for minors, and men shouldn't compete against female sports. It's so easy. It would seem to be so easy. But people like Bashir and Newsom, who know much more about the Democratic base than I do, apparently don't think it's easy.
They won't do it, and they're clouding their chances with every mealy-mouthed answer. Picture J.D. Vance in a presidential debate being asked that question. Or Marco Rubio for that matter, or any of them. But you know, assuming for now that it's likely JD, he would be so eloquent, he would be so reasonable, he would be so measured, and you're going to have that flailer with the hands and the stuttering and the come on, man, pulling the Joe Biden, come on, man. It didn't work for Biden, and it's not going to work for Newsom. Like, I'm just seeing the runway of how the Republicans' chances are going to look, and right now I'm feeling good. Not necessarily about the midterms, but about the presidential race. Here's another thing. It's a little off point on the trans issue, but a great moment where Shawn asked Gavin Newsom about why they were so able to very quickly clean up the city of San Francisco when Chinese President Xi Jinping came in 2023. And hear his answer, and then you can hear how he answered it at the time when it came up. Listen.
You got a lot of shit when Xi came to California.
Yeah.
And, you know, the big narrative was, and I tend to believe it, is, you know, we hear a lot about San Francisco and the homelessness and pooping on the road and all that kind of stuff. And it seemed like all of that was cleaned up when Xi came to town.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Complete bullshit.
That's complete bullshit.
I know folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true, because it's true.
I got to credit Morning Wire, my pals over the Morning Wire who put that together. Such a good catch. There's no room for wiggling. It's diametrically opposed because he's getting a little closer to running.
Yeah, I remember him saying that at the time, right? It was a big deal. We were all talking about it. So clearly, he hasn't forgotten. He just thinks he needs to dissemble about it and be against poop on the sidewalks in and of itself, whether you're having a big, high-profile international event or not. I guess this is moderation.
But like my point in showing this is really just to show, like, I think some people have the impression Gavin Newsom is some formidable politician. He looks the part. I'll grant him that. He's a relatively handsome man. There's no taking that away from him. But as soon as he starts speaking, things change because he starts lying. He starts obfuscating. He has a tendency to say whatever the person across from him wants to hear, and then just completely 180ing on it in front of a different audience at a different point.
Yeah.
That's just one example there. The Charlie Kirk example is another one because he tried to say to Charlie, oh, it's a question of fairness for me on the boys and girls sports. And then as soon as he got away from Charlie Kirk, he's like, yeah, I looked at it, I couldn't find an answer, so I've moved on. Okay, so that's another reason to feel good about 2028 for Team GOP. The Democrat candidates are not looking so great. Since President Trump was sworn in, his administration has made enormous progress at a breakneck pace. But don't forget, while they're moving mountains for the good of the nation, you've got your own personal savings to worry about. And one of the best ways to look after your savings is through diversification, particularly with gold, like from Birch Gold Group. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has increased by 40%. OMG. Central banks continue to bolster demand for gold by buying in record quantities. Global instability and tension is high, and Birch Gold makes owning physical gold extremely easy. Easily convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or buy some to store in your home safe. Just text MK to the number 989898, and Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of your savings today. Text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.